good. You can have guides. A guide is always great. Always useful. A little PDF that they can download. They can have it on the computer. Number one, once they download that PDF and it's on their computer, they have your brand. Now, assuming that you set up your lead magnet correctly and it has your logo on it and your phone numbers and all your details, that PDF 9 times out of 10 is on their desktop for months. For months, they're constantly seeing your branding, and quite often it's a little icon where you You are a thought leader in your space. I know you're a thought leader in your space, but nobody else knows. Nobody else knows, because people are busy and it's very, very hard to get attention today. So we need to be constantly displaying how much you know about your industry and that you're a thought leader in your industry. And the way to do it is through lead magnets. Be constantly creating lead magnets. Now, lead magnets it's like a farmer sowing seeds. A farmer doesn't go find the perfect seed. Go through all the thousands of seeds, find the perfect seed, then find the perfect place to plant it, and dig a little hole there, put the seed down, and then come back and check it every couple of days and make sure it's growing. It's not the way it works. That's not what a farmer does. That's not what a farmer does. A farmer will constantly be sowing seeds, and he knows that some of the seeds just won't grow because they're not on the most fertile soil, or there's something wrong with the seed or whatever, but for some reason some of them just don't grow. But you can't worry about what grows and what not grows. You have to be constantly sowing the seeds. And lead magnet is exactly the same. You need to be constantly creating lead magnets for your business. Constantly. Now, they can be used for prospects, to bring new prospects in and make them customers, or they can be used for current customers as well as part of your job. So, very simply, lead magnets are checklists, quizzes. So let's take it through some of these things. So data, for example. We talk to 10,000 doctors. And about how they use digital. And this is what they said. The data has to be about your customer avatar. So you know who your customer avatar is. It has to be about them. It's not about you. They're the hero. So you can use data. People want data. People want to download data. But it's got to be about them. So data, really, really good. Customer. Now, obviously, if you have a report or a white paper or data, you can use it with your current customers, obviously. But it's also great a way to get prospects in, because if I'm not going to download that because I'm not a doctor, but if someone downloads that, you know that they're a doctor and they're also interested in having a look at this data. So they've qualified themselves to some extent. They've qualified themselves, and that's an important part of the lead magnet, that's qualifying people. Now, lead magnet should be very specific. So we need a very specific lead magnet. It's about a specific problem that people have. Or it could be just curiosity. They're just curious. But in general, it's about a specific problem that people have that they want to solve. And you're going to help them solve it through your lead magnet. It should be also focused on a very specific customer avatar. So you've worked out your customer avatars, and you may have 4 or 5 different areas that you go after, but each lead magnet is only focusing on one of those customer avatars. So only one at a time. You can keep creating lead magnets. So don't worry about that you're missing parts of the market. Don't worry about that. So if you're focused on the education sector, let's say you're focused on principals in secondary schools, that lead magnet is only for them. And then you might have you might also be going after guidance counsellors in secondary school, let's say. There's a lead magnet very specifically for them. So each lead magnet is very specific on a particular demographic or customer avatar. So you have your data, Really, really good. You can have guides. You know, a guide is always, always great. Always useful. A little PDF that they can download. They can have on the computer. Number one, once they download that PDF and it's on their computer, they have your brand. Now, assuming that you set up your lead magnet correctly and it has your logo on it and your phone numbers and all your details, that PDF 9 times out of 10 is on their desktop for months. For months, they're constantly seeing your branding, and quite often it's a little icon where you can actually make out the logo, make out the phone number, whatever. But it's there for months. So they're seeing your brand. They're constantly seeing your branding. So and you should be constantly creating lead magnets, maybe for different sectors, but at least once a month you should be creating a new lead magnet. Maybe I would suggest once a week is even better, but I understand some industries you just can't do once a week because maybe there's a lot of regulation in the industry and everything you have to get everything improved and all that kind of thing, or maybe you're just too busy with running the business. You can't be constantly creating lead magnets. But the ideal situation is creating a lead magnet every single week, because some of them will work and some of them won't, and you won't know what works. You won't know what works until you start getting it out there. And you do need to get a little bit of traffic into it. So you do need to run some ads or whatever. So LinkedIn ads, you can do direct messages to people on social media. You can run Facebook ads, you can run Instagram ads, you can be running Google ads, Bing ads, whatever. But you do need to be getting some traffic going to it. Some of them, I saw a great one from HubSpot, the ultimate guide for digital marketers. Now, obviously, I'm going to want to download that, but I am a customer avatar of HubSpot. There's a very good chance that I could be a customer of HubSpot. I don't use them at the moment. I'm just getting into Marketing Cloud a lot more. I'm finding myself a lot more excited about Marketing Cloud, but I'm definitely a prospect for HubSpot. So this ultimate digital marketer's guide is something that I want to see. But by me downloading that, I'm putting up my hand to say, yes, I'm possibly a prospect for you guys. So, and when I download that, I see the HubSpot branding all the time, and I see the title of the PDF or whatever. It's on my desktop. And I see it over and over and over again. And not only that, a lot of these lead magnets that you create that people download, or a quiz or whatever that they do, or a course, whatever it happens to be, a lot of the time people are going to see it. They're going to put in their email address. They're going to download it, and I'd say I don't know what the percentages are, but let's say 50% of the time, people aren't even going to look at it. That's the fact. That's why I think you should be constantly creating them and not putting a huge amount of time into each one. A lot of time people aren't even going to look at it. They're going to, oh yeah, I want that, and then they're going to download it, and they're going to be distracted with something else. They're going to forget about it. But they are then receiving your emails. They're receiving your sales emails, and after a while they're receiving your nurture emails. So the one thing you can be sure of, that every time they download one of these lead magnets, they're seeing your branding over and over and over again. And that is why these are important. That's why these are important. That's why you need to be constantly creating them. That's why you need to be getting them out there. And some of them are just going to connect with people, and some of them aren't. So that's just the way it goes. You don't know why. When you're building, you don't know what that is. You have to test. You have to keep testing. Okay, we sent 10,000 people to this lead magnet. 1,000 people downloaded this. Those 10,000 people cost us X amount. 1,000 people downloaded it, and we got 60 customers from it. So you need to be testing and keeping track of those statistics in order to know what lead magnets are working and what lead magnets aren't. They all won't work. And you don't know what's going to work beforehand. Some things are just going to connect with people and some things aren't. But it helps you know later on if things are connecting with people. Hey, we can use this in our business. We can use this in other ways, or we can splinter this out and make this something else for ourselves. So this lead magnets, and I'm going to link in here to Alan Dibb's page. Alan Dibb is a great page on lead magnets. He gives you examples of great lead magnets, and he also lists out, I've told you about 2 or 3 types of lead magnets, but he lists out, it must be 20 of them or something. So I'm going to link it to that page as well. But what I want to say is you should be constantly, every single week if possible, creating new lead magnets. You should be sending traffic to that, whether it's you send it out to your email list, You're advertising on Facebook, you're advertising on LinkedIn, you're advertising in industry sites, whatever it happens to be. But you need to be getting traffic into the lead magnet. And you need to be constantly creating new lead magnets. And the ones that work, you should be recreating them or creating them in a slightly different way, but keep building on the ones that work. And the ones that don't, well, the ones that don't. But that's how you find out what seeds that you plant are going to grow. It's been Alan here. I want to talk about the importance of lead magnets and that you should be creating lead magnets every single week if possible.